This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome, everybody, to the Weekend Review. I've got a great guest tonight, and you guys have heard it before. Charlie is back. Charlie Furman is back, and we are going to talk about everything this week in WWE. And even more importantly, Charlie attended SmackDown this past week, which they were certainly not shy about letting you know where they were in Milwaukee. But first of all, Charlie, welcome back to the show, and how's it going?
Oh, well, thanks for having me, Matt. It could be better. I mean, I'm still, for everybody out there that loves Friends as much as I do, I'm still trying to get over the loss of Matthew Perry. Apparently it was, at the time, yesterday when I found out about it, I thought that it was a relapse, but apparently it was a heart attack that led him to unfortunately drown in his hot tub.
Yeah, I didn't even think to mention that here because it has been consuming all of our news feeds. And my wife and I are watching Friends again, and we're just like, oh, my God, like it's so sad because you're watching this and you're going, he's not alive anymore. And I thought it was a relapse, too. And, people thought, oh, well, he probably, overdosed. Again, I don't think we have the toxicology reports and all that stuff, but it seems to be trending towards heart attack. And then he just, drowned inside of his hot tub, but still sad at 54 years old. So all of us out there that are Friends fans, or if you're young enough to not even know what the hell Friends is, it's worth a series. Check it. It's worth checking out. It's a series that's really worth it, even though it is about 25 to 30 years old. It really is an awesome series. So yeah, certainly sad news.
Unfortunately, and my sister loves it and has even gone to the Friends experience, and she is still in her room crying her eyes out.
Oh, yeah.
And, and my dad has been constantly knocking on the door going, honey, Liz, honey, are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you doing better? And she'll just answer, this is worse than when Gunther died.
Yeah. Oh, Gunther. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so we got two people down here, and certainly, yeah, it is. But in better news and in happier news, you attended SmackDown this past week in Milwaukee, and I've got a lot of questions to ask you about that. But just overall, kind of high level, how'd you like it? Did you enjoy yourself?
Oh, I enjoyed myself big time. I always enjoy myself whenever I go to either a Raw, SmackDown, or the few times that they ever decide to have a pay-per-view in Milwaukee. Whenever those occur as well. And the good thing is that I just got my voice back today.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing for the weekend review here, as SmackDown took place this past week, and you guys got a lot of attention. I mean, I think Milwaukee's over-under was like 15 on how many times your city was mentioned to get pops from the baby faces. And I thought it was a good SmackDown. You guys got to see the rare appearance of Roman Reigns. So that is certainly something to behold if you're interested in such things. And you guys gave LA Knight quite a big pop as well. What to you are some of the things that stand out? Like when you went home and you're thinking about yourself, hey, this is something I'm going to take home with me. This is something I'm going to remember. What were those bigger moments for you?
Well, seeing as how we had two shows, or obviously a recording for next week, which I am not going to spoil in any way, shape, or form as much as I might try. Probably the thing that I took away from it is how much LA Knight is majorly over. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Summer of Punk. A little bit with how much organically over he was starting to get. Same thing when the Yes movement was going on, and how overly over Daniel Bryan was starting to get. it kind of gives me those vibes a little bit.
Yeah, I could see that. And that does have that feel where it's somebody that the fans chose, not the machine. And that's what makes these types of people, these types of wrestlers, the most over and the most support, the most real, organic, as you said, love for these guys is the Daniel Bryans, is the Punks, is the LA Knights. So we're going through something special right now. Now, I know, again, this is a double taping because they're going to Saudi Arabia next week. But do you think, without spoiling next week, do you think that based on everything you saw this past week on SmackDown, the contract signing, Jimmy going through a table, and then eventually Roman trying to spear LA Knight at the end, and then LA Knight's able to avoid it and hit a BFT, and LA Knight stands tall? Do you think, based on everything you've seen, do you think there's any chance that LA Knight comes away at Crown Jewel as champion?
Oh, as much as I would love it to be Knight, unfortunately, he's just he's not that or I don't know if this is gonna make sense, but he's not completely ready yet. I mean, his promos compared to when he started, they've started to go downhill a little bit, and I don't know if that's from creative or from the writing team. I mean, if you go off of that, no, but I think he can pull it off, and I think I'm probably one of those few people on this show that do.
Well, I'm pulling for you because I think we all want that outcome, and it does feel a little bit. It does feel rushed to me. It does feel like while we want him in this position, it feels like it's kind of, we were ready for the journey and we got it. We got to the destination a little sooner than we thought. I think that there is a chance he wins, but I believe that the minority of people are in the camp of LA Knight winning, and not that they don't want them to, but the way WWE is setting it up, Roman Reigns has a lot of other people to go through, a lot of other guys that he hasn't faced for the title yet, and I think that they want to get to that before having him drop the belt. And I mean, who knows? But all right, back to SmackDown, back to your in-person experience. What was it? Was a sellout. Was it a true sellout? Did you see any empty seats beyond where the hard cam was?
I did not. It was completely sold out, which made me very happy. Because normally, when I've gone to SmackDowns or Raw in the past, they have like the entire upper part completely blocked or completely uncovered with the nice little black whatever that thing or like the protective thing, so then you can't really see it. But no, it was completely filled, and I got this funny feeling that it may have had something to do with a couple of people that were there. Maybe one greatest of all time, John Cena, and one guy who for some reason hasn't fully changed his name yet to Bruno Sammartino 2.0. I mean, I'm still thinking that eventually Roman will change his name to Bruno Sammartino, but who knows?
Well, he's heading that direction. They're halfway through breaking that record with Bruno, and I don't know if they'll have the guts to go all the way through with it, because that would mean we have twice as much time now to get to Roman Reigns dropping the belt. I don't know if they'd have the guts to do it, because by that time people would just. I don't even know what people would do. But that said, do you think that the in-person experience with the house being completely full added to the, I think it would add to the audible noise and experience, but when you look at the crowd, was it families? Was it mixed? Was it mostly men 18 to 40? What was the demographic like?
Well, obviously the people that I went with, we are all over the age of 8. We are all, except for my little brother, over the age of 18. But then again, he's like 16, so he's close enough. But other than us, it was a vast majority families. But then again, I think that it is not only because it's WWE extremely family friendly, but also probably a lot of kids wanted to go see John Cena. If I had to probably guess, because he's everybody's favorite superhero, including my own.
Yeah, no, you know what? Even not for the kids, but even for the adults, because his time in the ring is extremely limited. We can all, pretend that this is a storyline retirement and that he's teasing it storyline, but it's reality, and it's going to happen sooner than later. So with this promo John Cena cut, number one, the pop for John Cena was. Let me ask you
huge.
that: was it bigger than LA Knight, or was LA Knight's pop bigger than Cena?
It was it. LA Knights was bigger, but not by much.
Mm. And how did it feel to see John Cena in person? Maybe for the last time. I don't want to say that, something's going to happen to John, but his schedule is kind of pick and choose, and who knows down the line. Was it kind of, did you realize like the moment that you're in, like this could be the last time I see John Cena live?
I did. And it, as much as I don't want it to happen, I know it's Father Time. Father Time gets the best of every single person. He is, as my cousin would love to say, he's never lost. And as much as I don't want to see Cena go, he's gonna. I think this is probably going to be one of the last times this year. Well, I mean, other than Crown Jewel, this is going to be the last time this year that we see him, maybe for a long time, depending on how the writers strike, or depending on the strike.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I haven't heard any updates on that. But then again, Voldemort for some reason does only likes to show up once for about 5 seconds, and then he'll be gone forever.
Yeah, and of course, guys, we know who we're talking about, the one that's supposed to face Roman at 40, but who knows? I'm honestly not even touching that until further evidence presents itself, because I've been burned way too many times. And honestly, I've said this, I'll continue to say it. If it doesn't happen this year, I never want to hear about it again. I really don't. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of it being teased on this show, that show. I'm sick of The Rock teasing it. I'm sick of it. It needs to either happen or don't. Like, crap or get off the pot for me. But so speaking of Cena, though, because I want to stay on that, there were a lot of "you still got it" chants. The crowd, you guys seem to really play into the fact that he realizes he's coming to the end. You guys seem to be with him on that emotional ride through his promo. He came face to face with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman did a really nice job of trying to sell you the emotional side of things, and how he brought up his kids to be more like John Cena than he did than himself. And that really, I think, resonated with people. And boy, can Paul Heyman really bring you on that ride and bring you into a place that, even though he's this hated advocate or a wise man for Roman Reigns, he can still turn you on a dime. He's a magician on the microphone.
Oh, that he is, and I don't know why people don't say this enough about him, or maybe they do, and it's just people in my house that don't think he is. I think he is one of the greatest, if not the greatest person on the mic ever, or greatest talker ever. Better than Cena, even better than Punk in his even better than Punk, and I hate to say it, even better than MJF.
Wow, that's a statement, but I can't argue with it. He is certainly consistently been so good on the microphone that it's almost unfathomable how good he is. It's a shame that he can't actually perform in the ring. He wasn't able to perform in the ring. He never actually pursued that part of his life or career, because imagine if he actually was able to wrestle and have that acumen to be able to speak the way he probably would be considered the greatest of all time, truly. But this whole narrative here of Paul Heyman pushing this on Cena, that, hey, it only takes one Samoan spike and you won't be able to communicate with your your audience. Your one big strength of speaking, we're going to have Solo Sikoa take that away from you at Crown Jewel. Now, I don't hate that narrative. It's fun to say. It makes sense. But at the same time, have we forgotten that, back in 2008, 2009, Umaga had the same finish and he hit like 400 Samoan spikes on John Cena before? I'm cool with it. Like, I get it. And I guess we're supposed to forget everything that happened 15 years ago. But I don't know. I actually like that, though. How did you feel about the promo that Paul Heyman cut with John Cena, and the whole idea that, John Cena's his voice, his livelihood could be taken away?
Weirdly enough, all of the fights with Umaga immediately came up into my head too. Like, wait a minute. Umaga has given him like 4, 5, maybe 600 spikes in his career. When Cena faced him, and yet he's still able to talk just fine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's that powerful there, Heyman. But no, I understood why they did it that way. For everybody that for some reason can't even remember what happened about 5 maybe or 2 months ago.
Yeah, I'm with you. This whole idea is that it's so long ago. I think that they don't care that if fans remember it, it's not really relevant now. It's honestly a fine story to tell with Paul Heyman on the microphone. He can sell an ice to an Eskimo. He can do that. He's so damn good. And I had no issue with it other than, it's like, wait a minute, Paul, are we supposed to be having selective memory here? But it's fine. And honestly, when you look back at this, and it's likely that John Cena is going to lose, it's not going to be that big of a deal. We'll probably see John Cena go back into whatever he's doing. He's got other projects, and even if the writer's strike's still going on, he's got other stuff he can do, and then maybe make his way back. The other narrative, though, is, he's saying, I need to make sure I still got it, but what if I don't still have it? And he's talking about, it's simple math. And I'm thinking to myself, hey, John, it is simple math. You have had 3 singles matches since, what did he say, 2018. You've been here. And by the way, 1 or 2 of those years, he didn't even have a match at all, a singles match. So it's very deceptive with the stats he gave us last week. He had 3 matches of which, he went 0-3, or it was 0-2 or something. I spoke about it last week. And so it's just very kind of obvious if you just even do a simple Google search. But they're trying to sell you that this is John Cena's swan song, and they're trying to sell us that this could be the end of John Cena as we know it. And how did you buy that part of the promo?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think Cena will probably be able to maybe not, or do I think if Cena could easily do it, I could see Cena doing doing an Undertaker kind of, or an Undertaker kind of thing, a Triple H kind of thing, where he will compete once a year at WrestleMania, and then just take the rest of the year off and just compete every other, or I hope you get what I'm trying to say.
No, he'll adopt the Undertaker schedule. And I don't have a problem with that. If he wants to continue to do that, I don't know. But at the same time, we all saw the Undertaker break down before our eyes and have matches that even Undertaker admits himself were, not great. And even some matches that he nearly died. I mean, look at the Goldberg match. Now, a lot of that didn't have to do with him. A lot of it was on Goldberg, and he got knocked silly, and he nearly dropped Undertaker on his head and broke his neck. But there are some scary moments. He didn't have a great WrestleMania match with Roman at WrestleMania 33, among others. So I don't know if John Cena wants to do the Undertaker's verbatim. I mean, maybe he does want to just, after WrestleMania 40, maybe he'll show up for a SummerSlam or a WrestleMania 41, 42 and have a moment, or come out and give somebody an AA, that kind of thing. Do what Rock and Austin have done over the last 10 years and just kind of randomly come back, hit their finish, do the greatest hits, and leave. Then he doesn't even have to have a match. So I think maybe that's what John Cena is evolving into as he gets into these stages of his career, which really, these are bonus stages. I mean, we look at this and say, I wish he was here every week, but John Cena's done it all. We don't need to see him here every week. And I think everything he's doing now is bonus to help build new stars, build that new generation. And I think that's what this is all about. But back to SmackDown, the one thing I didn't mention on the top here about LA Knight, Roman opened the show, but I don't think we've had anyone ever interrupt Roman Reigns' entrance. And I think that added to the pop for LA Knight, because I've never seen that where someone interrupts Roman. And I think it made the crowd react even stronger. Do you agree?
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes. It was normally what I like to do, and I don't know if other people do this or not, but whenever they sense like a big pop is getting ready to happen, I normally put my hand on the floor just to see, okay, let's see how loud it gets. And when you can feel the floor shaking, it's loud. It's loud. I could feel the floor shaking even just by standing, and I thought it felt like the roof was getting ready to explode.
So you can actually like physically feel the building shaking a little bit.
Yep.
That's awesome. That is not a common occurrence outside of maybe the fireworks going off for the event. That's awesome. That's a feeling that as a fan you never forget. And those moments stick with you. Those pops stick with you. It's what keeps you coming back as a fan. Are those you chasing that? So that's cool. And then he sits at the head of the table, of course, which was it's all these little things, creatively genius. I loved it.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, my brother was trying to figure out. Wait a minute. Why is he sitting at the head of the table? Isn't he Roman's? Because he is the head of the table right now. Kevin, shut up.
He is. He sat exactly where Roman is, and whoever sits there is the head of the table. So I liked it. I like that just different feeling, the kind of don't give any F's type of attitude that LA Knight has, where he doesn't need to be anointed by anybody. He doesn't need to feel like he needs to scratch and claw, that he has actually arrived, that he's here, that he feels like he belongs. I love all of that attitude with LA Knight. And sure, his promos, I would agree with you that his promos need to improve, which is weird because he still gets massive reactions for his promos and people want to do the sing along and the LA Knight and all, which is fun and it's great. But I have been saying for a while that LA Knight needs to elevate his promos to a point where it's not just quick catchphrases and witty lines. I think he needs more substance to his character, who he is. Attack that person personally, like get deep into things instead of just those catchy little punchlines. And he's done a little bit of that. Like the Suffer and Succotash line was great. So,
oh God, that wasn't great. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. And unfortunately, my brothers were going, wait, what? Suffering second, what?
Oh, so they didn't get it.
No, but me and my dad are just elbowing each other, going, "Oh my God, should we just run down there and bring one of them some water, bring Roman some water, so then he has something to put that burn out with."
Oh, right. Somebody call the burn unit. And you could see Roman Reigns sitting there trying to no sell it. But honestly, Roman Reigns, I don't even know the last time Roman Reigns even cut a really good promo. No one's talking about this. Like he's more confident on the microphone and he's, in his backstage role where he just sits and doesn't acknowledge anybody and sits in like away from somebody when he talks to them and all that little stuff. But like Roman Reigns has yet still to cut a promo that is just jaw dropping. And all he does is kind of laugh through promos. He's not bad. He's improved, but no one talks about the fact that I don't think he's where he should be in terms of promos compared to what they have elevated him to of this 3.5 year champion.
But then again, when your promos are bad from, even in your time in NXT and they have gotten better bit by bit, but then again, that's not setting the bar very high. He has gotten better from the myth, but Suffer and Succotash, I will say that, but he absolutely does need to improve. He absolutely does need to improve, and I thought originally when he and Heyman teamed up that maybe Heyman will help him out a little bit. That maybe this will finally be what Roman needs to get his promo work better, and it still hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't. And you know what? I don't even know if he's thinking about it, because he's in a position where he's making top dollar for showing up, twice every 3 months and doing one out of every 3 pay-per-views. And he's in a pretty sweet spot that a lot of people are jealous of or hate on or whatever. But you know what? Everyone in this world, everyone on this earth would take the deal that Roman Reigns has. So
I sure would.
Yeah, so like we can crap on the fact that he has a schedule that annoys us as fans, but that's because we're fans, and he's holding the title hostage. But Roman Reigns is in a very sweet position. If everyone in this world would sign on the dotted line for that. So,
oh yeah. And weirdly enough, there was actually somebody in the crowd that actually kind of got a point that made me kind of think of maybe why his schedule is like this. Maybe it's because his leukemia is back, which got me thinking, oh, well, if that's the case, that's a valid point.
And maybe he didn't want to make it public.
That could, which would make sense to me a little bit, but it is like trying to figure out how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. The world will never know.
Oh, that ad is. I think that ad was made in like 1950 or 1960. Those of you who know, yeah, that's very true. But so look, I didn't even ask. Where were your seats?
We were like 20th row from. I'm trying to think of how to angle this. Oh, we were right we were like right on the angle with the perfect view of the announcer's table, about 20th row up, I'd say. Perfect view of everything, which is kind of what we try and go for, without having to spend like $250 or $500 on the best seat we can possibly get. Which every time tickets will go on sale, my dad will always be, oh, we should get ringside. We should go sit ringside. We should go sit ringside in the second row, Chuck. No. If we're going to get ringside, we have to get the front row so we can see everything. Otherwise, if we get anything past the front row, we won't be able to see squat.
Yeah. It's true. You do pay a premium, but some people do pay that just to be on TV or get their signs on TV or whatever the case may be. And some people don't care, and they'll break the bank to do it. And you're about right. I mean, that's what it is in most cities. Is if especially if you're on the hard cam side, the camera's pointing to you the whole time. You're looking at $300 to $500 per ticket at minimum. Some are $600 or $700, even for just a Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown. It is about that much. Now, how about merch? Did you guys buy any merch, or what kind of merch did you see around the arena?
We did buy merch. We are one of those kind of families that always do. Unless if it's a belt, then we will just take a look at the merch, or take a look at it, point at it, and laugh at the price, like everybody should. But the merch they had was actually kind of surprising me a little bit. They obviously, for some reason, thought it would be a good idea to have lots and lots and lots of John Cena stuff. They also had lots and lots of LA Knight stuff. They had a couple things of Roman Reigns, they had a Milwaukee, like a couple of local T-shirts that they always try and do, Milwaukee 316, SmackDown from Milwaukee. But the one thing that unfortunately they had that I almost went behind the counter and tried to grab them all and then immediately throw them in the garbage, they had a Cody Rhodes T-shirt.
No, they didn't. Oh,
they did, and I wanted to jump over the table, grab them all, and throw them away.
You would be doing a service to the community. So that's I would say next time maybe we can figure out a plan to make that happen. Because I mean, imagine I can just see a T-shirt with like Cody's face on it, smiling, and on the back or on the bottom of the T-shirt, it's like, what do you want to talk about? That would be like the epitome of like the antithesis of my soul. So it's good that Cody wasn't there, even though I understand, and I participated too. His sing-along song for his entrance is fun, but his character is absolutely
annoying.
Yeah.
Oh, and we were walking around the entire arena pre-show trying to see as many of the wrestlers as we possibly could. And we were passing by this couple. One was dressed like John Cena. The other one had a Cody Rhodes t-shirt on. And I look at them and go, "Oh, cool. So one of you has good taste. The other one, ew."
Yeah, right. Like, exactly. And I know, look, the thing is, I really, everyone I talk to on this show, it seems to be in the same camp I am, and then the rest of everybody else that supports Cody seems to be the vocal ones on the show. I don't hear a lot of boos for Cody right now. It's still generally very positive. So it's kind of discouraging for people like you and I, and a lot of the people that listen to the show, and just we're the ones who are sitting there going, "This is unbearable," and you hear the opposite reaction every single week.
And the funny thing is that the girl's reasoning almost damn near made me fall under the floor laughing, because apparently she's a Cody fan, not because he came back to the company, not because he's a fighter, not because he's a great in-ring character, because he's hot.
I've heard that. I mean,
I'm like, oh my, I'm like, really? That's, oh my God. Oh my God. And my dad's just my dad's like, "Charlie, don't get into it with her, please. Please don't get into it with her."
I mean, I've heard that so many. I mean, a lot of girls that are wrestling fans. Okay, not everyone. I know a lot of women that are wrestling fans that actually, have a deeper reasoning for liking somebody, but a lot of them do. They just go, well, he's so cute, and it's like, real. That's it. That's all. Yeah. That's it. So
like, yeah, and even her boyfriend was like, yeah. I'm trying to convince her to go to somebody else. I'm trying to convince her to go to Drew McIntyre or Seth Rollins. No, she wants to stay with Cody because not only does she think he's hot, she also loves his hairdo.
No, I was just going to say,
I'm like, no.
It's like, I mean, that was cool if you were a member of NSYNC in 2000. I mean, like, I don't know. Whatever. Hey, to each their own. You'll never convince somebody otherwise. You can't reason with that. It's just the way they feel. So, yeah. All right. Well, let's continue on here. So we did get a little bit different focus here, but Dragon Lee did come out here, and Dragon Lee, who did he take on here? I'm trying to find the
Cedric
Alexander, who now looks much different, but I like his new look. What'd you think of this match?
I loved it. Dragon Lee is growing on me big time. I can see Dragon maybe in a couple of years eventually going for either the U.S. or the Intercontinental title, and maybe in about 10 years, maybe even being an eventual world champion.
Wow.
He has that. Yeah.
Well, he certainly had, I enjoyed the match with Cedric and Dragon Lee. I really enjoyed their match. It wasn't as long as I would like it to have been, but you knew going in that these two don't have a ton of momentum. You knew that they're not going to get 20 minutes here, but I think they made the most of their minutes. What did you think?
Oh, I think that they should have given them more time. That this match needed more time, but unfortunately, when you give the opening segment from what I counted, about 25 minutes, unfortunately, all of a good portion of the matches, unfortunately, have to be cut down.
Right.
Unfortunately,
especially when it's a 2-hour show, not 3-hour like Raw. So, but the next match though, we had Chelsea Green and Piper Niven versus Shotzi. And this match also super short though. Shotzi ends up winning and beating Chelsea Green in 3.5 minutes. What's your take?
Well, I would first like to start off that the Chelsea Green and Shotzi match was brought to you by Hot Wheels.
Or Power Wheels, yeah.
Forget me using Hot Wheels. I'm going to start using that. But Chelsea got a night, and this made me very happy. Shotzi, to no surprise, got a damn near dead reaction. I could have sworn I heard crickets. Maybe I could have sworn I thought I heard crickets when she came out. And then Chelsea got a very, very nice reaction.
Positive reaction?
Positive reaction.
Really?
Very, very positive, which made me very happy because her character is starting to grow on me when she's not being her Karen, or not in the Karen, not portraying Karen.
Yes. I'm with you. It's almost as if she's so obnoxious and plays it so well that it's endearing. It's starting to turn on its own, and it's not there. That's not the purpose of it. They're not trying to, but it is. And the Shotzi character, I mean, are we all supposed to cheer for her because she has a spiky haircut? Like, because she looks different? Like, why are we supposed to cheer for Shotzi? She comes out in a toy. She comes, and her music is just a bunch of screaming. And she's okay in the ring, like that's fine, and I think her look was fine before, but I appreciate the effort, her committing, and I guess the reason is that she cut her hair is I think she knows someone that has cancer. There is a real heartfelt reason behind it, so I understand it. So there is that. Yeah,
but that well, yeah, and of course I had to hear from my sister for about a couple of minutes, even as soon as she saw the tank. Oh, the Elvis is coming out! I'm like, no, Liz, that's a Hot Wheels tank. That's Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
That's Hot Wheels. That isn't the Elvis tank. That's a Hot Wheels tank. You could probably be able to find one of those here in about a couple of years.
Yeah, no, they sell them on WWE Shop or something. Yeah. I can't believe they brought it back. I'm just, she's just like struggling to find a gimmick, doing scraping at everything she can, like changing her haircut, bringing back the tank. I don't know. The Shotzi character is just very superficial. There's no depth to it. And I'm not saying there won't be. You're right. I understand why she got no reaction. People don't know what to think. So, but Shotzi beating Chelsea Green here, I don't even remember the reaction. Was it positive, negative? Were people just indifferent about Shotzi getting the 3 count?
It was dead. It was completely dead. You could hear once again. You could hear crickets because nobody. At least I didn't think Chelsea. I mean, I think I can understand why they wanted Shotzi to win, but then again, as soon as Shotzi won, I'm like, okay, where's Elbow Fire and where's Fire and Dawn? Where are they? Are they coming out again? Where are they?
Well, they're too busy casting spells on every woman on the roster. So, yeah, I don't know. But, oh, man. All right. Well, we did get, after the Dragon Lee match and Cedric Alexander, we got LA Knight and Jimmy Uso. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we get there.
Oh.
Promo from Bianca Belair.
I was hoping you wouldn't bring it up.
I've got to. She comes out, and honestly, you guys reacted very positively. Not overwhelming, but it was very positive. Warm welcome back for Bianca Belair. She's out there twirling her hair at 30 years old, still thinking. I mean, I don't understand the twirling of the hair. I know her hair is her gimmick.
It's like she is in the 2nd grade, getting ready to go out and play a nice little game of Foursquare or kickball.
Yes, and she's a professional athlete coming out skipping like she's on the at recess in school, and she's a badass. She is stronger than some of the men on the roster probably, and she's excellent in the ring, and she's decent on the mic, and she comes out skipping and twirling her hair. I don't know. I don't get it. To me, it takes away from her credibility as a badass.
Oh, she needs to. She and Raquel are pretty much, in my view, kind of in the same perspective.
Yeah.
They need their heels trapped with babyface personas.
Yeah.
Like no, heel turn, please let this be the night, please. But Bianca's reaction was, or at least by us, she didn't get one.
Really?
She didn't get one.
It sounded, if you watch back, I mean, it wasn't overwhelming, but it was like, oh, okay, she's getting a good positive reaction. That's kind of what I felt. So either they piped it in, or you weren't in a section that actually contributed.
Yeah, I mean, I did hear a couple of little girls, get all happy about it, which I'm like, okay, this is to be expected. This is to be okay. This is to be expected with her being as, and I don't know why more people haven't come to this realization yet. They are turning her into the female version of John Cena.
Well, I think Jade Cargill is going to have something to say about that. So, so that'll be a fun. I mean, eventually Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair are going to come face to face, and that's going to be one for the ages, I think, at least from a visual standpoint. I don't know about in the ring. We'll see. But again, on SmackDown, though, Bianca, I think, did a nice job of showing us that she's not always all smiles and brushing things off, because she showed a small hint of herself, a small different version of herself, that said that she could not get the vision of her getting attacked and getting revenge out of her mind over the last 2 months. She couldn't let it go, that normally she shakes it off, but she just couldn't get it out of her head. And that she said, Bianca called herself consumed with vengeance. And that's what got her out of bed to come to SmackDown. So we haven't heard or seen this kind of Bianca. Typically she's all smiles and brushes things. This was a little bit different, a little bit more focused on revenge and violence and vengeance than we otherwise normally see. So maybe it is a bit of a turn for her.
Yeah. When her promo, I will say, was absolutely beautiful, but then again, it kind of brought me back to the NXT version of Bianca, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with the old school version of it, Matt, but
a little bit, yeah.
She was heel. She was always a heel, and it made me think, okay, it's Crown Jewel. It's gonna happen. It's going to happen. She's going to go heel. And everybody will love her even more. And more importantly, everybody in my house will love her again.
Oh, she's been babyface for like 4 years at least now. I mean, she originally was a heel when she came in. I remember during the pandemic era, and she was associated, or I think loosely, with Montez Ford at the time. And remember when Montez Ford was quote unquote poisoned, and that whole terrible angle. So I remember her playing kind of the heel in that, and then so it's been almost 4 years. So she's had a hell of a run as a babyface. It's just time. I think it still is time. She's an amazing in-ring wrestler. There's no question about it. On the mic,
no argument,
none. And she's got the look. She's got the presence. She's got the promo even at times. It's just, I think she's miscast. I actually think that you could argue that she's more miscast than Raquel Rodriguez, although Raquel Rodriguez to me is just, I don't know what they're thinking putting her as a babyface. That's another conversation. But so anyway, she does say that she had a plan that she took to Nick Aldis, and at Crown Jewel, she's going to get her rematch for the WWE Women's Championship against Io Sky. And along with that, she'll get a match with Bayley next week on SmackDown. So she is in line to work pretty heavily with Damage Control over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, which when she brought up the fact of, I want to face all the members of Damage Control, and I'm going to start it off next week with Bayley, and then I'm going to follow it up with Io for the women's title at Crown Jewel, and I'm like, okay, well, what about Dakota? Where's Dakota in this entire scenario here? Where's Dakota? What is she, the ugly stepsister? What is she, the ugly stepsister here?
She doesn't even get a voice. You don't even hear from her.
And it breaks my heart because I love Dakota. I love Dakota. But she and Io both need to break away from Bayley. And unfortunately, I mean, I could see it happening at Mania, maybe in a triple threat or then again, if they decide to have Io maintain or hold on to the title till then, God hoping she does. you could easily have a Bailey, Io, Dakota triple threat match for the title at Mania.
Oh, yeah, you could. I just have a sneaking suspicion that Io's not going to survive past Crown Jewel. I have that feeling because Bianca's returning. She's hot, anytime anyone returns, they're hot for a short period, heel or babyface, and then then the reality sets in after that. But I think they're going to strike while the iron's hot because Io Sky is kind of cold right now. She's ice cold as a champion. Io Sky has not felt like a true champion. I think a lot of that has to do with them not giving her mic time. The conversation has really been about Bailey most of the time and Charlotte, who's been interjecting. It's really been kind of a sideline. She's been a side character in her own story. It's been bizarre with her run.
Yeah, and it's very, very tragic. It's very tragic because Io is at least one of the best, not the best, but maybe one of the best women people, or one of the best in the women's division on SmackDown at the moment. And unfortunately, because of her language barrier, they are not going to give her the run that she deserves.
Well, that to me, that is a non-excuse if I'm a wrestler there, because look what they're doing with Shinsuke Nakamura and how brilliantly that came across with Seth Rollins and the subtitles. Now, they don't need to do that exact formula, but there's ways around the excuse of, well, they just don't know. They don't know English, so they can't communicate. It's like, no, like it'd be best if they know English because then they can communicate directly, but there are ways around it. And we've seen it with Shinsuke, which turned out to really revitalize and rebirth his career. So it's just, I think a lot of this is uncreative because every time Io's in the ring, she kills it. So I don't know.
The sad thing is that I have heard her in interviews, minus the accent, she speaks perfect English.
I know.
It's like,
I don't get it. I don't get it. We've dealt with many, as fans, we've dealt with many, many, many different accents. We can read through or hear through them most of the time. And when we can't, like if they don't know anything, there are ways around it. So this is, to me, it's just been really kind of embarrassing for Io, not because she's done a bad job, but really from what creative has done with her, which is essentially nothing as champion. So it's not good, which tells me if they're not doing anything right now, and it's been several months, that Bianca's going to take it back and just run with it. That's my take right now. But all right, well, now let's get to the LA Knight and Jimmy Uso match, and I'll let you take this one.
Shockingly, Jimmy was getting booed out of the building, which made me very, very sad. But I felt like, and me and a lot of people around us were starting to notice this too, that Jimmy's attire made him look like a tomato. Made him look like Bob the Tomato.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah, no, he has a very interesting. Jimmy's in a weird spot too, because he's trying to get back in the bloodline. No one ever explained why he suddenly had this change of heart. Roman just accepts him back, but is annoyed by him at the same time. And they don't ever talk about what happened before that. It's weird, and it's like they're trying to force this program of Jimmy and Jay, but then it's on again, off again. Jimmy attacks Jay, but then it's forgotten. It's I don't know what the hell is going on. That's not to say Jimmy and Jay are not great in-ring wrestlers. They are. But yeah, this is a match LA Knight to me had to win. There is no ifs, ands, or buts because it accomplishes two things. It establishes Jimmy Uso as another liability for the bloodline that Roman can't trust him, and it'll put more pressure on Jimmy. And also, two, it'll make LA Knight look as strong as possible heading into the event at Crown Jewel. So, I actually had no issues with that. It was a lock it in, throw away the key decision that LA Knight had to win this. And then, of course, as we mentioned at the top of the show, we tried where LA Knight almost was speared by Roman Reigns. He avoids it, hits BFT, and you guys pop pretty good and sent home happy.
Oh, well, at least for the first hour, or at least for the first 2 hours anyway. But I don't know if you were able to actually pick up on this from the crowd. some of us were actually starting to chant Jimmy or Jay is better, and weirdly enough, other halves of us, including myself, were, no, he's not.
Really? I missed that.
Yeah, and I think, and I can't speak for every other listener on this show that loves Jey Uso right now, but every time I hear his every time I hear his entrance music, I just start laughing. Every time.
Jay's?
Yeah, because it's just me. Ooh. Like, no, it's no.
That's kind of funny.
No, no, it's not. In almost every match, Jay, you've been on for Raw, it's been a tag team.
Actually, yeah, that's true. I mean, he's talking about he's main event Uso. He doesn't need a team. He doesn't need a faction. And yet every match he's in.
And yet every match. And every time me and my dad will always bring this up to my mom, who's a big Jey Uso fan, because, well, he's cute. Well, Shannon, why are they calling him main event Jey Uso? He's not in the main event tonight. Why are they calling him main event Jey Uso? They need to get rid of it. Need to get rid of the name.
I said that right from the beginning. It's funny because it's a cool name. I get it. It sounds big time. But what are you going to do when you're not in the main event, and you're not going to be in the main event all the time? It's just not going to happen. So doesn't your name become completely kind of a parody of yourself when you aren't in the main event and call yourself main event Jey Uso? You're setting yourself up for a heel to just destroy you.
Mm-hmm. Big time.
Oh, God. So now, I know it was a double taping, but what happened at the end of that segment after LA Knight avoided it? I'm imagining outside of the second show starting, was there anything that happened in between where we didn't see on TV? Because the last thing we saw was LA Knight just kind of standing there, raising his arms, and that was it.
They had their little sign of the night kind of thing. They had, unfortunately, they had the DX cam.
No.
I know, and I look at my brothers and I go, I swear to God, if you guys partake in this, you guys are finding your own way home. and I'm like, but you guys can people watch,
right?
And I'm looking all around me, and I see little kids chopping at their crotch, doing it. I'm like, oh no, you guys are too young to even know what that means. You guys don't know what that means.
And most of them weren't even born when it was actually relevant. So
yeah. It's like, no, you guys don't get it. Stop.
Yeah. It's one of those things where when you first watch it, it's almost endearing. Like for the first few moments, you're like, oh, that's kind of funny. Oh my God, a little kid. And then after like 5 seconds, you're like, this is, number one, incredibly inappropriate because there's so many different meanings of what that is. And also, you weren't alive, you weren't even born, most of you, when this was happening and actually cool to do and had meaning, and it was the hottest thing in wrestling. So like there's so many layers to this and also the parents that allow the kids to do this. I'm sorry, like if my kid started chopping his crotch and like a 5-year-old, I'd be like, no, this ain't happening. I mean, like it's just not happening. So
yeah, and I was even in school when it was going on, or when it was like really, really, really big. Granted, I was in kindergarten, but I mean, I still vouch for this today. DX made me spend made me stay after school a lot because I would always constantly point at my crotch and tell teachers to suck it.
Yeah.
And what made matters worse is the teacher had no idea what it meant, but the principal did. Because the principal, bigger wrestling fan than anybody in my house.
Really?
Yeah, and he's like, I know what you're doing, Charlie, but you can't tell people to suck it.
Yeah. He goes, but no, you don't understand. It's just for Degeneration X. I'm not actually telling them. Yeah.
I'm like, but I'm not saying it. I'm just doing what DX does. He's like, he's like, and he'd be like, Yeah, and let me guess, if you told, yeah, well, what if I told people to say your prayers and eat your vitamins? Would you do that? Do you think every little kid here would do that? No, because not every little kid was born around in 1984.
Right. Oh my God, it's true. You know, and in the amount of cumulative detention time that DX probably caused, and the Attitude Era in general caused for school-age children from 97 to like 2005, it's got to be in the hundreds of thousands of hours of detention time and after school or expulsions. I mean, the things that used to go on, even that I used to do that I won't talk about here. I mean, it's just you're young, you don't know, you think it's cool, and yeah, I get it. So.
Yeah.
But all right, well, we'll jump over to Raw quickly, and then I'll give you any time to wrap up things we didn't talk about or any tidbits on your experience. But on the Raw side of things, I want to get your thoughts on what do you think is going on here with Seth and Drew? Do you think Drew is truly turning heel, or is this something that is just kind of a tease?
I think this is a tease. I think that this is a tease, even though I want Drew to go heel because he hasn't been heel in, let's see, 5-6 years?
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's time. It's time. It's time for Drew to go heel. I don't want him to line up with the Judgment Day because, well, first you gotta, I'll tell you what, if you get rid of PJ McDonough over there, you can easily just replace him with Drew, and the world will be sunshine, rainbows, cupcakes, unicorns, and little puppy dogs.
I think that it really would benefit Drew, no doubt about it, to go heel here. And I think he's even been very vocal about the fact that that he wouldn't mind doing it, and the fact that he also doesn't want to be involved in any kind of faction, that his character at this point doesn't need a faction, doesn't want to run a faction. And I would agree with that. He needs to go solo and do his own thing and be a rogue heel. Every heel doesn't need to be involved in a faction and play the numbers game. We certainly have enough heel factions, by the way. Now the question is, though, with Judgment Day trying to recruit both Seth and Drew, do you think that they get involved at Crown Jewel in this match? And do you think there's any kind of swerve, or do you think it's a straight up Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre match, and maybe we have a change of championships here?
I think that it'll lead to Damian cashing in, or at least cashing in, but losing the title, or not being able to successfully cash in, I should say.
Yeah, that's probably I didn't look at the odds. Vegas has all these odds even for pro wrestling. I'd have to see what the latest the numbers are, but that seems to be the likely scenario, is actually Damian Priest cashing in and being successful. Now I could see that. I could see this being one where Seth retains. I could also see this being one where Drew wins the belt, but in some kind of fashion that you would be like, that's a little underhanded. I don't know, where it continues the Drew down the path of being this bad guy that takes advantage of situations. So I honestly could see all three scenarios going down. All three of these, to me, are plausible. This is a very tough prediction, and this isn't a prediction show, but as I look at this, I mean, I honestly can make a case for all three.
Yeah, and for everybody and for the few people I know that actually bet on wrestling, don't bet on this match. Don't bet on this match because it's too tough to call.
Stay away. Yeah,
yes.
You may think, oh well, they're definitely going to turn Drew heel. Don't. I would. Yeah, the smart money stays the hell away from this match because there's just too many credible, plausible scenarios that would that you could fall into trap with here. So, but outside of that, on the Raw side of things, I know you have, first of all, Becky Lynch is no longer the NXT Women's Champion, so that's a positive thing if you want her to move back to the main roster full time. But Rhea Ripley is really getting herself involved in almost every segment. It feels like, I don't know if she's flirting with overexposure, but she had a very long conversation with Seth on camera last week, which wasn't a bad thing. It was just kind of strange. And she seems to be involved in everything. But at the same time, in her own division where she's the champion, she's lighting a match, letting all the women battle each other, and she stands back. So what do you think about Rhea Ripley and what she's been doing over the last couple of weeks?
I love it when people think exactly what I do, because I think she is not quite there yet, but she is getting on the verge of overexposed a little bit. Granted, the crowds are, and especially on Friday, even before the show started. You know how you get in there early and normally you can hear like a lot of woos.
Oh, yeah.
or in this case, yes. There were a lot of "we want mommy" chants going on for a good portion of the night.
Now, did people think that they were actually going to see Rhea Ripley, or just doing it because they love Rhea Ripley and just they're at a wrestling event and it's fun?
Both.
Wow. I mean, I wouldn't see any reason why Rhea would show up on SmackDown, and actually she, per the draft rules that they're so strict about adhering to, she had no reason or really legal way to get there, but yeah, if I was there too, I mean, she is over as hell and she has fit perfectly into this group. The Dom chemistry is off the charts. She is dominant in her division, albeit she only recently started defending her belt since WrestleMania with credible opponents. But I mean, honestly, she's done very well. And I mean, I can't see her losing this belt until WrestleMania at the earliest.
You think WrestleMania?
Yeah.
I think SummerSlam of next year.
Well, oh no! I mean, to me, that's the earliest. I didn't say going to happen, but like if you look at the next destination, if you look at the next possible plausible destination where she could lose it, sure, WrestleMania, anything could happen. But more likely, yeah, we're talking about another year.
Oh yeah, big time. And what made matters worse, by the way, about mommy not coming is that meant Dom's not going to be here. I can't see if it's actually true, or if the noise, or if the crowd noise is actually just being help me out here, overpopped or something like that, or I'm just mixed in a little bit.
No, I'm with you. And I don't know if they've been doing that a whole lot lately. I try to always look for when I hear crowds being especially loud and they have the camera on people and the people's reactions don't match what I'm hearing, and the people are just like sitting there and not moving that much. And yet at the same time, I'm hearing people screaming. I'm thinking to myself, okay, they're pumping in some noise here. Like they're doing something, because the actual physical reactions are not matching what I'm hearing. So that's always a pretty big clue. But they don't do it too much. I have to say, there used to be a very, very obvious time in which they would do it, specifically when Roman Reigns was the big dog and they try to get him a positive reaction when the crowd was booing him. There are certain times they'll force it when they have an agenda. But generally, I think that they've been pretty authentic lately. So, but all right. Well, the other thing that I want to ask you about on Monday Night Raw is the status of Rey Mysterio and Logan Paul. What's your take on that? And then we'll kind of wrap things up.
Is there any way we can get Logan Paul off of our TVs?
Good luck.
And any chance at all? I mean, granted, this is probably going to even shock you. At the merch stand, they actually had Logan Paul stuff.
What does it say? He's had 6 matches.
It is just a Logan Paul t-shirt.
Oh, just Logan Paul. Okay.
Yeah, just a Logan Paul t-shirt with a bottle. And they even had, and I don't know why they would have this at a merchandise stand there. They had a couple bottles of Prime.
No.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna jump over the barricade, grab this stuff too, and throw it into the dumpster, and find every small child under the age of 5 or under the age of 10, and go, okay, here you go, have some drinks that are worse for you than soda. Here you go.
Oh, okay. I didn't know they were actually trying to sell Prime. I mean, obviously he's got a contract with WWE and all that. Like, it makes sense they're trying to sell his Prime energy drink. Which, by the way, guys, I've said this before. If anybody is an actual athlete, no one is actually drinking Prime. Okay, like it's not like soda bad for you, but it's like you look at the actual ingredients. It's not the best thing in the world for you. It's pumped with tons of caffeine, which is obviously not what you want with an actual energy drink, but or at least a safer one that you're actually going to use to work out or lose weight with. But anyway, that aside, he's making a bunch of money from it, and good for him. But I just don't know if the Logan Paul idea to make him U.S. champion is a real one. Do you think that there's any chance he actually could win and beat? No. So Rey Mysterio will continue to be champion for the foreseeable future.
As much as I don't like Rey being U.S. champion, Logan Paul's not the guy. Logan Paul's not the one to take it off of Rey, because if you do that, then obviously you are going to set up a Ricochet versus Logan match, which for the love of God, please let it needs to happen. But then you obviously can't have the U.S. title and the Intercontinental title on Raw, which means unfortunately one of them will have to go. And if it would be who I would think it would be, then they would have to find a new face of Raw or try and find a different tag. I can't talk now. To try and find a different tag team to replace Imperium.
Mm-hmm.
And to be quite honest, I don't know why I think I'm the only person that refuses to call him Walter. Or Gunther. I still call him Walter. People give me dirty looks all the time, but I don't care. But in my personal opinion, I'll join in the social pressure. Gunther needs to lose the Intercontinental title here, probably at least by come Rumble time, and then you can put him in night 1 or night 2 of the main event of WrestleMania against Roman for one of the titles.
I don't think that's a bad idea, but who would you have as the babyface in that match? Because Gunther going in, I mean, I guess you could turn him babyface. It would take a little bit of work, but how would you set that up?
Gunther is a babyface.
Well, he is, but people still, I mean, sure. I mean, to you and I, it makes logical sense, but listen to the crowd. I mean, they boo him every time, so.
Well, yeah, and of course you could be like my grandmother, who for some reason thinks, and this is probably going to make a lot of people mad because it makes myself mad and it makes my parents mad. But for some reason, my grandmother thinks that they are trying to make the Gunther character portray a Nazi general.
Oh my gosh!
I'm like, no. Yeah,
I would think that would be a very bad idea. Now that may, in some people's minds, I actually could see a little bit of that. He has a very old school look. It's like he got in a time machine and he was brought back from like the 1920s. Like, I get it. He does have that old school, just the structure of his face. He's got a great look. So I get it, but they're certainly not trying to portray Nazi Germany in anything at all. Like, hands off. Like, you don't even go there, you know?
It's the only reason she doesn't like him. But the sad thing is that she knows he's great in the ring. He's not a heel. He very rarely has Ludwig Kaiser or Giovanni Vinci interfere in any matches that he's in. Mm-hmm. He's not a heel, but otherwise, I don't like him. I just don't like him. I don't like him because of the reason I just gave you, Charlie.
I mean, when you look at him, actually, true. Like, beyond that, okay, like there are some people that think that he does look like, an old war general or Nazi, whatever the case may be. But you look at his just wrestling character, he's all about respect. He respects the championship so much that he wants to make sure that the people who are challenging him are the ones that are most qualified, which actually I think is better than just come one, come all, anyone who wants a championship match. To me, that's disrespectful to the championship. And also he's very old school. His entrance is simple. Like there is nothing about the guy that he's bleeds respect, and at the same time people boo him and they'll cheer for somebody like Seth Rollins, who I love. I do love Seth, but at the same time he's anybody who wants an opportunity at the belt can have it. It's like, well, why?
Why?
It's just
like why? Because I'm going to go on Twitter and say I want a title match.
Yeah.
It happened on Raw at this day or NXT on this day. Okay, well then in that case, hang on. Hi, I'm not a wrestler, Seth. Can I fight for your title, please?
Yeah. Apparently, the qualification to challenge for the championship is you have to have a Twitter account. Apparently that's the new prerequisite to be able to have an opportunity. It is kind of ridiculous. And I know that's the world we live in now. And their idea is, everyone has to be a fighting champion. That's a babyface champion. They don't see the other side of it of like, well, this is the most prestigious belt you're telling us, or one of, and yet anyone's qualified to get a crack at it. Why? Like it should be the best of the best. That's what championships are. That's what they're supposed to mean. And the more championship matches you have, by the way, the less it means, because that's the way life works. The more that something exists, the less it's worth. So there's just so many reasons why. And it's always the same narrative with babyface champions. I hate it. But their idea is, well, they'll look like a coward if they don't. I mean, so I don't know.
Yeah. Makes me want to go climb up my tree and just find my little brother and do a little Bart Simpson and shoot him with a rock with my slingshot.
Oh, your slingshot. Oh, okay. I was worried where you're going there. The slingshot. Yeah, no, I'm with you. But all right, listen. What else? Is there anything else you wanted to share with your experience from SmackDown before we wrap it up?
This is probably going to make a lot of people, or maybe some people, mad. But there was a couple that was standing behind us while we were waiting to get in, that decided, to come in costume like a lot of grown adults do, which is perfectly fine, because hell, my dad went as Hulk Hogan, I was John Cena, my brother was Roman Reigns, my sister was Trish Stratus, my other brother decided to go as Kevin Owens, even bought a fake beard and a goat and a little mohawk and everything. And unfortunately, he even bought basketball shorts and just put duct tape on there that just said KO and fight. And I'm like, oh my God.
Well, he got one backstage segment. He was able to punch two guys in the face at once.
Yeah. And then he showed up later. But that's that. Just
that's all right. Yeah, you didn't really give anything away. I would hope he's on the second show. So.
Oh, he is. But there was a guy behind us, and for some reason, my brother thought he was like, Charlie, look, the guy's dressed up like Bret Hart. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, Kevin, he's not dressed up like Bret Hart. He's dressed up like Owen Hart. I'm like, oh my. And standing next to him, according to him, he decided to bring his wife's yoga pants and put in there kind of like a little claw, or draw, and I don't know how he was able to do this, but draw claw marks going through it. It was actually quite impressive. And he had on just a nice little Wolverine t-shirt. And I'm like, wait a minute, I think I know who he's dressed up as. I'm going to go ask him anyway. I'm like, dude, are you dressed up as Chris Benoit? He's like, I told you somebody would figure it out.
Oh my God. That's
ballsy. I'm like, dude, I'm like, I'm like, oh my, I'm like, Dad, come here, look at this. And my dad immediately even figured it out. You know, I'm like, dude, you got balls. I love this. This is unique. And let me guess, it's just so that they won't kick you out, right? Yeah, pretty much.
Wow. I haven't seen anyone go that far to, I mean, there's, it's impossible at this point to separate the wrestler and what he did. I know people try to, and I try to at times too, but what he did, I mean, it's just so bad that like, even if you're saying, oh, it's just the wrestler, you know, but like, you can't detach it. It's too bad. It's too awful. Yeah.
I love him. Benoit is one of the reasons that I got into wrestling as a child. I was there for WrestleMania 20 in the front or near the front row for the most underappreciated, and unfortunately, because of the fact he was in the match, the most under talked about best main events, probably one of the best main events in the history of WrestleMania.
It was great. Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
If not the best triple threat ever. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, because Chris Benoit's there, we can't talk about it.
But if you're the company, what choice do you have? I mean, like as fans, we can sit here and say, yeah, but it's just because of Benoit. Now Triple H and Shawn Michaels have to, pretend that this match didn't happen. It's like, unfortunately, kind of like it's never mentioned, and they have done everything they can to erase Benoit. If I was the company and I was publicly traded and publicly owned, I'd kind of have to do the same thing, even though we understand that he's had, from a wrestling standpoint, an amazing career and is one of the best technical wrestlers to ever live. But unfortunately, he did something so awful that they have to pretend that didn't happen. So
yeah, which I love him as an in-ring worker. I do. As an in-ring worker, one of the best in-ring workers ever. And unfortunately for him, people talk about Eddie and Shawn, and because he's Benoit, you can't talk about him. You can't put him on the list, which is very tragic. But outside of the ring, I
know. All right. Well, Charlie, this has been a lot of fun. I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate the perspective, the in-person perspective, being at SmackDown. Every time you're at a live event, it's a much different version of what you see. Different. It adds more to the experience. It's not totally different than what you see at home. And I'm sure that the next time, did they announce the next time they're going to be there?
March 22nd.
For SmackDown, Raw?
SmackDown.
Okay.
SmackDown.
Oh, man, you'll be right before WrestleMania. Ooh.
Yeah, 2 weeks, which means, unfortunately, which could mean that, hey, Roman might actually show up this time. LOL.
No, that's only the go-home show, maybe. So, like, if you're 2 weeks out, I don't know if I'd count. I don't know if I count on it. That's the way the thing's been going with him. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, buddy. It's been a blast, and I really appreciate it. We'll be in touch, I'm sure, soon.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.